Hello, I'm Sam from Jessup Says. The focus of my channel is to share and educate on how to buy less, buy better. It's not necessarily about buying less things, it's about buying something that fits its purpose perfectly and serves you for as long as possible. Now, as I've come to say recently, it's all excellent in theory, but when it comes down to it, it's hard to know exactly where to start and what to buy on your buy less, buy better journey. By this stage of the journey, I'm assuming that you're standing there wearing a nice comfortable pair of socks, a pair of trousers that fit and are comfortable, and an appropriate t-shirt or maybe even a rugby shirt. And you're wondering what next? Well, hopefully, like it's all of a sudden autumn here in Melbourne, not sure where summer went or if it even came, but anyway, it's about this stage that I started to consider how cold it is outside and decide what piece of outerwear I'm going to put on that's appropriate for the day ahead. A critical decision, and one that when you get wrong, you end up being too hot or too cold or worse yet, damp. And the first thing that you want to consider is knitwear. This wasn't actually going to be a video on its own, but upon writing the script, I realized that knitwear itself is a topic that has a lot more levels than I had originally thought. So here it is, the knitwear video. Let's get into it. Unlike other things we've discussed in outerwear like jackets and coats, knitwear tends to be less of a statement item and more of a practical layer that serves a purpose of keeping us warm. And that's kind of how I feel about it, though I do love and appreciate the vast types of interesting heritage knitwear that exists out there, and that serves to inform our modern knitwear and our modern knitwear styles. For example, you've probably all seen an Aran sweater. It's a heavy gauge knit that originated from the Aran Islands off the west coast of Ireland. These kinds of sweaters have a distinctive cable knit pattern on the front that are said to represent different aspects of the island life, such as ropes, nets, and other things that fishermen use, or even the shapes of the island cliffs that are local to that area. And these kinds of sweaters are worn by many men these days, but they are informed or they are inspired by those original Irish garments. This means that there's somewhat more freedom in terms of the type and style of knitwear that you own and wear. Ultimately, because it's cold when you're wearing it, and society in general tends to be very tolerant of the cut, color, and material choice because it's cold. It's sort of the same when it's hot. The climate dictates the outcome and not the clothing. So choose something that fits you well and that's a suitable shape and style and type of knitwear for your climate and your body shape. As for my style, well, due to the sort of utilitarian nature of knitwear, I tend to stick to very classic, very simple cuts and silhouettes, which we'll get into in more detail shortly. I also tend to wear mostly lightweight knitwear here in Australia, but I do have a single heavy knit that I wear on those particularly cold days. My light knits are very simple and classic in terms of their colors, but my heavyweight knit is definitely a bit more heritage in style. As usual, all things that I have, I try and combine in the most number of different ways to suit as many different occasions and critically weather types as I can. So jeans, chinos, flannels, all without feeling out of place or wrong contextually. So let's get into it. Knitwear. Knitwear turns out to be a fairly large and detailed topic in and of itself, so before I get into the knitwear that I've chosen, here are a few key things that you may want to know about knitwear. When it comes to neck styles for men's clothing, there are a few key options to consider. The most common style is the crew neck, which is a simple round neckline that sits close to the neck and is a classic and versatile option that works with the most wide range of outfits. Probably the one that I would suggest that most people start with, and it's like the one that I am wearing today. Another popular option is the V-neck, which is a V-shaped neckline that dips down towards the chest, creating a more open and relaxed look. The style is perfect for showing off a bit more chest and works well with layered outfits. It can also be quite a cool ivy-inspired look, but it's a bit more difficult to pull off. For a more formal look, there are polo knitwear, which features a collar, button placket, and it has a nice polished and sophisticated appearance. In knitwear, it becomes quite a beautiful and interesting piece to wear. I recently got one from Permanent Style that I really enjoy wearing, and if you're looking for one, that's a good place to start. The mock neck, on the other hand, is a more modern option that features a sort of short collar that sits close to the neck but doesn't fold over like a traditional collar would or like a roll neck might. The style works well for creating a sleek and streamlined look that's perfect for layering, although it doesn't look as good over a shirt in my opinion, so I prefer to wear it with a crew neck t-shirt or something underneath it, and it's actually my personal favorite style of knitwear right now. It's a great balance of warmth and a badass look. Finally, you have the roll neck, which features a long folded collar that can be rolled up or down depending on the desired look and probably how cold it is. It's a great option for creating a very cozy, winter-ready outfit that's both comfortable and stylish. Personally, I find them to be a bit too thick and restrictive around my neck, and I don't really like the feeling of scarves in the first place, so I don't really like the feeling of this, but if you like scarves, then this might be right up your alley. Unless it's super, super cold, in which case this is a fantastic and pretty amazing option. I also want to call out two important terms that are good to understand, and honestly ones that confuse me constantly, and these are gauge and microns. Now, when we talk about gauge of knitwear, we're actually referring to the number of stitches per inch or centimeter that are used to create the fabric. So a higher gauge means that there are more stitches per inch, which is a tighter and more delicate weave. In the case of lightweight, fine gauge knitwear, the gauge tends to be around 18 to 28 stitches per inch, though this does vary a lot. Micron is another buzz term that I've seen thrown about, and it's actually a unit of measurement that is used to describe the diameter of the individual fibers that make up the overall material. So in the case of knitwear, the micron count of fibers can have a big impact on the look and feel of the finished garment. For example, the typical micron count of merino wool can range anywhere from around 15 to 24 microns. Merino wool with a count of 18.5 or lower is considered to be super high quality and therefore available to use in ultra lightweight luxury knitwear. Something like cashmere, on the other hand, is known to be incredibly soft as a fabric, and that has a typical micron count of around 15 to 19, which means that the thickest cashmere is still considered to be comparable to luxury merino. On the other end of the scale, something like Shetland wool is typically a micron count of around 27 to 33. So around double what we've been talking about in terms of the fine gauge knitwear. Anyway, that should be a good little overview of some of the terms that you're going to see when you're searching for knitwear. So let's get into the ones that I've personally chosen. The first and most common type of knitwear that I wear is light or fine gauge knitwear. This is a kind of knitwear that when it's high quality can be used as a base layer or as a substitute to a t-shirt on a very, very cold day, or it can be used as a layer on top of a t-shirt or a shirt or an OCBD like I am doing today. What defines this category of knitwear is it is lightweight and breathable, making it perfect for wearing in warmer weather or as a layering piece for colder weather. Unlike chunky knitwear or heavy knitwear, which is thicker, lightweight knitwear is designed to be versatile and comfortable to wear year round. Typically, this category of knitwear is made from materials such as cotton, wool, or cashmere, although other materials like silk or linen can also be used. The most common type of material used is typically merino wool. I've got some cashmere, and although it's wild, it's crazy how soft that is, I tend to like how merino holds up under a lot of washing and a lot of wearing, and I feel that over time, my merino is going to last longer just because of the way that I wear it. Generally speaking though, merino wool is a popular choice for most people for lighter weight knitwear for several reasons. First and foremost, it's a natural fiber that comes from the merino sheep, which are known to produce a very fine, soft wool, and the sheep are often from my home country of New Zealand. The fibers of merino wool compared to other types of wool are much, much finer and much more lightweight and breathable, which makes them perfect for this kind of knitwear. Additionally, merino has other unique properties. For one, it's naturally moisture wicking, which means it can help you regulate body temperature. Even though it's wool, it does keep you cool and warm at the same time, which is keeping you comfortable throughout the day. It's also naturally odor resistant, which is a big plus when it comes to clothes that you'll be wearing very, very frequently, like I tend to do with my knitwear. Finally, we know that merino wool is also very durable, meaning it can stand up to wear and tear over time. This makes it a very smart investment for anyone who wants to build a versatile wardrobe that will last for many years to come. The fit of your lightweight knitwear will really depend on how you intend to use it, but for my case, I like it to be sort of half a size bigger than the shirt or the OCBD that I'm wearing at the time. That way it sort of moves and reacts and acts the same way that the shirt or the t-shirt that I'm wearing does, and it means that, you know, the two garments work in unison together, and it means a very comfortable fit. I like the armholes to be nice and big so there's plenty of room for my sleeve to go into, like the arms not to be too long, like the neck to sit, well, wherever the neck's meant to sit, whether that's here like a crew neck, there as a V-neck, up here as a roll neck, or whatever it might be, and then also through the chest and through the back. I want to make sure that there's enough room for me to move and it doesn't pull or be too tight anywhere. As merino is a nice and stretchy fabric, it's also very comfortable and sort of allows that movement in itself. So you just want to make sure that there is enough for it to stretch over whatever you're going to wear, or not if you're going to wear it by itself. In pretty much all situations, you probably also want to ensure that it's long enough to be tucked in nicely at the waist too, if that's how you're intending to wear it. When it comes to colors, you're probably once again begin looking at your typical menswear palette, which is the navies, charcoals, greys, and olive greens. Firstly, navy blue is a classic color and it works well with a range of colors and is suitable for both formal and casual occasions. You might look at owning a crew neck in this style. Secondly, a charcoal grey is another versatile color that works well with a range of occasions. You might look at owning a mock neck or a roll neck in this style. Dark green or olive or forest greens are also fantastic colors that can add a little bit of pop to your outfit while still remaining very versatile and easy to pair with other colors. It pairs well with colors like beige, khaki, as well as the other two colors, navy blue and charcoal grey, the typical menswear palette. My pick for my current favorite lightweight knitwear is my mock neck by Tom Morrison. It's a slightly thicker than my other merino, but it's in a way that's been woven and designed to be extremely comfortable and even in slightly warm weather. Kind of a very open knit and an open weave. Really, really nice and really, really comfortable. I tend to wear it a lot with a t-shirt underneath it, or I just wear it as a base layer because of the mock neck, and I think it looks pretty great with lots of different outerwear and different layers, like the work shirt or the military jacket that we're going to discuss in the next video. As you can see, it's a pretty nice dark olive color, which means that it pairs really, really well with pretty much everything that I own, and it has become a real go-to item for me. I did make a video about it, but that was quite a while ago, so give it a look, but it may need updating. Onto heavy gauge knitwear. Now this stuff tends to only be worn on those super cold days, though if you choose the right kind, they can be surprisingly breathable and comfortable, but still nothing more than about 10 degrees or so, or not for me because I run hot. Heavy gauge knitwear is often associated with rugged or practical workwear, and it has a history rooted in outdoor activities like hiking, camping, and hunting. Just go and look at a 90s fashion catalog for inspiration, or for that matter, a modern one. Heavy gauge knitwear is generally made from thicker yarns, resulting in chunkier, more textured fabric. The gauge of the heavy gauge knitwear is typically around 3 to 5 stitches per inch, which is much larger than the 8-12 typically found on finer gauge knitwear. The microns are also larger. For example, merino wool used in heavy gauge knitwear can have a micron around 24 to 28 microns versus the 18.5 that we discussed with the lightweight merino wool. The larger micron count in heavy gauge knitwear can result in a coarser texture compared to finer gauge knitwear, which can be desirable for creating a chunkier or more substantial look. When it comes to the fit of heavy gauge knitwear, it can depend on personal preference and the style of the garment. However, in general, a slightly looser fit can be more flattering and comfortable because the thicker and chunkier texture of the fabric can add a bit more visual weight and bulk to the garment, making a snug fit less flattering. Aim for a fit that's comfortably roomy without being baggy or oversized, because obviously with chunkier, thicker fabric, you can run the risk of looking chunkier and thicker. You can avoid that with something that fits well and fits you properly. You want to make sure that there's not too much room in the body and through the arms, as that's the two places that will probably make it look like it's too big or too oversized. Unless you're going for the oversized look, in which case, who am I to judge? My personal feelings are that because thick knitwear is slightly more occasional, that it's usually worn on a really sad or really dreary rainy day, and in that case, the knitwear should be bright and colorful. For that reason, I tend to go for bright or fun colors like a red, green, pink, purple, or even a yellow. It provides a bit of cheer in an otherwise crappy day. You can also do pretty much any neck style here, so choose whichever style suits your wardrobe and your other thing. Most common are probably a thick roll neck or a thick crew neck with a thick V-neck cricket style jersey coming up in popularity more recently, and it's a kind of cool option if you can pull it off. As for my go-to, well, it's still the bossy Shetland, and it's probably going to remain that way for a very long time. I only need one warm jumper, and this one is literally perfect. It's made from a special durable Shetland wool that comes only from Scotland, and it's combined with 12% cashmere. Now that 12% cashmere makes it super breathable and very, very comfortable on a range of different days, still on around 10 degrees. But it also keeps me really, really warm when it's actually cold outside. It's also in that classic Shetland style, which I suppose is kind of a crew neck, but the Shetland style is actually a fairly specific design that I personally like because of its heritage in Ivy League and English country vibes. I like the vibe that that gives off. My one is built like a tank, and it has literally no signs of aging that I can see anywhere. It's a truly made for life garment. Well, what seemed like a fairly short and quick topic and a part of an outwear video became a video unto itself. Knitwear is a super essential part of our closets, especially if you're in a cold climate, obviously. It serves an express function of keeping you warm, but not too warm, and doing so in a way that's appropriate for your outfit. Luckily, because of how cold it is outside, you have the ability to wear whatever you want, as knitwear tends to come in and be accepted in a huge range of different places, styles, and colors and fashion. But you should choose one that fits you and is designed and made in a way that is built to last you as long as possible. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Links are in the description as always. Look forward to seeing you all in the next one. Cheers.